What's not to love about a multi-millionaire grave robbing? I mean, come on!
Goodbye, nephews, my friends. I'll never talk to you again.
And your junior woodchucks cannot save you now.
I need to steal a crown. Capitalists look on in silence.
Developed and released by Capcom. Originally released in North America first, September 14th of 1989. It would be released in Japan a little bit later on, a couple months later, January 26th of 1990. The country that developed it would get it later, I guess. And all the way in Europe, it wouldn't be released until December 14th of 1990. It got it quite a bit later on, almost a year later in Europe. Though looking at the title screen here, it does say Capcom USA Incorporated, so perhaps it was developed in America by Capcom. DuckTales was very much an American thing. I doubt they knew anything about this in Japan, so they did know about it in Europe, I'm pretty sure. Scrooge, definitely. Scrooge is a character that goes way back into the 1940s, I believe, in comic books and things. You will be seeing me play on the most difficult setting this game allows, which isn't all too difficult for me, I have to say. I've always considered this amongst the easier games on the NES. But you know how I've made comments in the past about certain games like Super Mario Brothers or something? How people will generally give a game a little more credit than it deserves in some areas. Like they'll say like the first level is masterfully designed. It's just so intuitive you can just play it, and in retrospect they think these games are easy. They think like Sonic the Hedgehog, all these games are easy, and no, they're not really easy. If you put a 5-year-old, if you put a 10-year-old, maybe even older, you put these kids in front of the games now, they have quite a bit of trouble. They will not get past World 1-1 in Super Mario Brothers, I guarantee it. Not a chance. We did not get past World 1-1 when we first came to these games, unless you were looking at somebody else play it beforehand or something. No. These games were harder than we're giving them credit for. We are conveniently forgetting that these games were difficult. And I conveniently forgot that this game, too, was amongst the same category. It was difficult when I first played it. And I do remember losing, especially at the end there, at the final area of this game. There's quite a few areas that, in retrospect, I'm remembering were difficult at the time, but I still consider this amongst easier NES games because I do remember mastering it back as a kid, and I think anybody today, if they put some time into it, they absolutely, without too much difficulty, will get through this one. Fun, enjoyable ride, absolutely. But I've seen Gaming Jay, a friend of the channel, I've seen him do his recent video on DuckTales, which I'm going to link you to in the upper right there and in the descriptions and comments. Seeing him play that, I definitely got a nice feeling transporting back. Even a 30-year-old can play these games, and if it's his first time playing it, there's still some difficulty there. So you don't even have to be just 10 years old or 5 years old like we were when we first played these games to find them difficult. You can still be, an adult, and because you haven't seen these games, you can have some trouble with them, like he did. But I have no doubt he can definitely get through this game, though. And I think he said he's gonna give it a little more of a go a little bit later on. But it was very refreshing to see him play it, and by no means was he bad, but I mean, it's just there's areas of this game, that if you're just going into it for the first time, you're gonna find difficult. Me, on the other hand, I know every little last corner, every square inch of this game, which is, for an NES side-scrolling game, it's rather non-linear, actually. Especially this level in particular, which is, get used to seeing this one, by the way. This is I started with the most difficult level, I think, and you can choose whatever level you want to start with. Very much a Capcom game, very much the Mega Man kind of engine. Not as complicated as Mega Man is, with different weapons and items that you have to use at different times and abilities and things like that. Not so much here, but it's definitely it's got that Mega Man kind of feel. I did not have Mega Man as a kid. I played Mega Man, several of them at friends' houses and stuff, so I knew what Mega Man was, but I did not have a Mega Man. So this was actually my first exposure to Capcom. This was their first developed licensed game. I believe they had previously worked with Disney to publish some kind of a Mickey Mouse game, I believe. This is their first one that they actually developed for the company, and they would do several more. These Capcom licensed games are definitely amongst the best licensed games in the Nintendo Entertainment System's library, without any doubt. And beyond that, far beyond that, these are oftentimes listed amongst the best games ever for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Definitely. IGN, I think a lot of these, recently especially, this game has gotten quite a lot of credit out there. This was definitely one of my favorites as a kid, and it's getting a lot of love these days. People that remember playing this one, this is considered a must-have for the system. Let us take a gander at the DuckTales manual. Nice little cover there that they have there with most of the gang there. Abigail's missing. You missed the girl. What's with that? On the next page, a special message. Thank you for selecting exciting and fun-filled DuckTales, one of the exclusive family computer video games from Capcom's Captain Commando Challenge series. DuckTales, created by Capcom, premier worldwide arcade game designer, features colorful, state-of-the-art, high-resolution graphics. How do you define high-resolution graphics? 250 by 250 or something like that was the Nintendo resolution. I love poking fun at some of these old companies back in the day where, definitely they took some liberties here and there with how they advertise some of these things. And I love pointing those ones out. No matter how much I love these games, I love pointing those little nuggets out for you. Definitely in the same vein we have here. Avoid subjecting this high-precision game pack to extreme temperature variances. How do you define this as a high-precision game pack? And if it's high precision, I should be able to throw it into all kinds of extremes. Do not use thinners, solvents, benzene, alcohol, or other strong cleaning agents. They can damage the game pack. Go screw yourself, you liars. You're lying. Pause for 10 to 20 minutes after 2 hours or more of continuous gameplay. This will extend the performance of your game pack. How the hell will pausing the game and leaving it on turn off the game? I don't even believe that, really, but pause the game, leaving it on definitely will not extend the life of your game. How about some story? They did devote a single page to the DuckTales story presented in this game. Uncle Scrooge is a world-class millionaire and a lover of adventure. His goal this time is to obtain the 5 lost treasures that were scattered throughout the world. He is off on his adventure with the help of Huey, Dewey, Louie, and Webby. They will travel with him through the jungles of the Amazon, the snow-topped peaks of the Himalayas, the haunted house in Transylvania, the subterranean mines of Africa, and to the surface of the moon. How many of the lost treasures will you be able to find? I'll briefly mention the controls. I'm not going to actually show you what the manual says. Read the manual if you want detailed instructions about the controls. And the manual does definitely get into the details of that, but you see me screw up a little bit here. I remember actually coming back to this for the first time in like a decade, probably. I don't know, 8 years ago or something, probably is first time I had played it since the 90s. And I remember the first time I played it, I was having difficulties with it, especially this jump. You're using I call it the pogo jump, but he's got a cane. That's the Scrooge thing. He's always got the cane. Apparently, he can pogo jump with his cane, and this is the primary mechanic of the entire game. What you just saw on these spikes, like this is very precision work with my fingers here. You gotta press the B button, and you let go of the B button, press the B button. Yeah, it's very. You gotta press down. It seems like it's very. It's amongst more complicated control schemes. But having said that, in retrospect, again, these platform games, dime a dozen, a million of them, specifically for the NES. What makes them unique? What makes them great? What makes them stand the test of time? It's how different, how unique you are able to make them. It is this mechanic which actually confines this game to history. It's so unique in how you get about and how you deal with the enemies. I really, really like this mechanic, although even with me, it's not. You'll still screw up even when you master it. You still won't get it absolutely perfectly. But that's the thing that I enjoy about old games. It doesn't completely satisfy me to utterly master a game perfectly to where I can do it just 100% as good as anybody else can do it, because there's only a certain amount that you can do. If you get it perfect and everybody can get it perfect, it's not special to me. I like these games that are always a tiny bit difficult. Always give you a tiny bit of little issues here. Hey, Launchpad is here. This can be an annoying area too if you don't know how to deal with these bees. When I think of my favorite side-scrolling games of all time, you definitely got the Sonic the Hedgehog. You got your Marios in there, and this is definitely up there in my favorite side-scrollers. What makes games amongst my favorite personal side-scrollers? Usually it is just how much I'm able to explore, how many secrets there are that I can unravel, as long as they give me enough time to unravel them. Turrican. I was able, there's so many secrets in this game, and in fact, there are areas where, you can't even progress without finding the secrets. This is, if you want to use Launchpad, several of the stages, not all of them, but several of the stages, you can use Launchpad to bring you back home, and it will tally up your money. The thing about this is when you go back to the stage, as I'm demonstrating here, all of the treasures will be reinstated there, so this is how you get the best possible ending, which is what I am showing you off in this first part. I'm going to get them all. I'm going to get the best possible ending to this game, which is an ending I was able to achieve as a kid. I got a lot of enjoyment out of maxing out, just finding every little last secret I could possibly find. And then once you come back and there's a secret there. All of these secrets that I'm showing you, I found back in the day by myself. No Nintendo power. This kid did not have no Nintendo power as a kid. Found them all myself. Occasionally, maybe a friend, I'd watch him and they'd show me, but not this one. Definitely not this one. There is an area up above right there that is a secret. I wasn't able to grab a hold. There's like a hidden rope there. I wasn't able to grab it there, but it is possible to get a shortcut to the boss if you go up there. Getting back to those secrets, again, let's look at the manual. It will tell you about some of these secrets, like in Transylvania. Uncle Scrooge has to contend with the monsters of a very haunted house. Listen to Huey's message to find the boss's room. Again, the boss's room, impossible to find without actually finding a secret, going through a wall there. The mirrors in this spooky abode can transport you to other parts of the house. The treasure in this land is the coin of the lost realm. And here in the Amazon, Uncle Scrooge must search through the ruins of Incan Empire. There are many traps here, and caution is necessary. The treasure in this land is the scepter of the Incan king. Oh, wow. This game is not politically correct at all, is it? We're killing natives. Again, we're going to go to the African mines a little later on. Oh, yeah, this is the character itself, you know, Scrooge McDuck, he is amongst the more curious heroes of our culture, really, in terms of things. And again, the DuckTales has recently been brought back to life, been recast and everything. And this game itself has been utterly redone. Remastered version came out, I think, in like 2013, 2014. It had the original cast in that one. That was the last time, I think. Well, there might have been one other time after that, but I think that's one of the last official times that we had the original voice of Scrooge, well, yeah, McDuck, at least in contemporary times, which was Alan Young Wilbur. He's Wilbur in Mr. Ed, a television show. He's in some other things too. He's in The Time Machine. Yes, supporting actor in The Time Machine. He was the friend of the main character. He's in lots of things, and lots of voice work as well. I will always hear Scrooge McDuck as Alan Young. Definitely check out the remastered version. I don't think the remastered version will stand the test of time. It is definitely something that was developed to go back into nostalgic minds. It's relatively faithfully done in terms of a remake. Much of the layout of the original levels are there, as well as greatly extended, and there's tons and tons of plot put into it. Much more PC, definitely. It's not the African mines in the new version. It's Scrooge's own mines. He owns the mines, the haunted house. It's just a haunted house, not in Transylvania, the jungle area. Eventually they meet like the Jungle King, and it turns out, despite Scrooge stealing, it was just the king's back scratcher. That was the scepter. They find these creative ways to get around the inescapable problem in the overall character structure of Scrooge McDuck, which is, this is the richest man alive, and he's going around stealing a bunch of stuff. He takes from the poor and he gives to himself. It's got tones of Indiana Jones in it, and actually it's the opposite. Indiana Jones has tones of Scrooge McDuck in it. Definitely a lot of, people don't realize that. But yes, the original comic books of Scrooge have certain things like the boulder and stuff going after him. Like, that is a scene out of the original Scrooge comics. But so it definitely Indiana Jones takes a little inspiration, but George Lucas was able to make the character Indiana Jones much more likable in the fact that he is a teacher. He's going after these things that belongs in a museum. That's his reason for existing and going after these things. He's the good guy going after these things. That's how George Lucas got around the on the surface absurdity of this character. It's very of the time. It's very 80s. In the 80s, it was very cool to be very capitalist. Republicans, Ronald Reagan made sure of all that. It was cool to want to be absolutely rich, filthy rich, and not give a shit about your fellow human beings. So that is where Scrooge lies. But for me personally, Scrooge is a likable character, and I think a lot of that comes from the holiday special, Mickey's Christmas Carol. That was a 1983 Disney short, which features quite a slew of original Disney characters. It was the first time in many, many years you saw some of these characters voice acted. It was the final time Donald Duck's original voice actor was able to do the role. Mickey Mouse is in there. Mickey Mouse hadn't been in a feature since like the 50s, I think. Goofy, everybody is in this one, including Scrooge. Scrooge is actually the main star of Mickey's Christmas Carol, which is just, a reskin of Charles Dickens' Scrooge. I have always enjoyed that character in most incarnations of him. Through humor, you are able to root for some of the worst characters ever. Like, here we are, we have just literally killed our nephews. They are dead. They won't be mentioned. They'll be back for somehow, but I mean, they're dead. If we fall down that, we're dead. So yeah, Huey, Dewey, Louie, goodbye. Talk about it's just such an unlikable character. He's just super filthy rich. He wants more. He wants to be more rich. There's nothing a rich person wants more than to be more rich. That is Scrooge at his core. He is named literally after Ebenezer Scrooge. He is Ebenezer Scrooge. And but when you come, I first saw Mickey's Christmas Carol, where he is literally playing his namesake, Ebenezer Scrooge, and through humor, and it's just when you hate all these people trying to get money from you, these poor people. You hate your friends, you hate your family, but when that is done in a humorous way. My partner Jacob Marley gave me enough money when he died to get his tombstone. I kept the money and I buried him at sea or something. When it's done in a humorous way, when it has you laughing, you end up rooting for him, and then when the inevitable change occurs at the end, you turn him into a likable character, and definitely got me. I always liked Scrooge McDuck, and I always loved DuckTales, the show this game is based on. I love the DuckTales movie. I saw that. That movie was a commercial flop. Did not make much money at all. I think it might have made some more money in rentals or something. I believe I saw it first when it was on pay-per-view or something. Didn't go to the theater to see it. But really enjoyed that movie. Really enjoyed the cartoon series. It's one of those few children's cartoons that you can go back to as an adult, and these, you don't cringe. These are wonderfully told stories through and through. It's very good animation. It's from Disney, and I would certainly recommend tracking those down. We are going to track down a couple reviews. Here is Electronic Gaming Monthly, issue number 6. January 1990, apparently. With Batman, the video game, on the cover. This would be the NES version of Batman, not the PC, Amiga kind of versions. Again, there's also a PC version of DuckTales, which is also well-reviewed. I believe, the Batman game was a nice one, too, on the computers. And perhaps we will someday get to those other versions. Now, first here, did you know that apparently the Genesis/Mega Drive cartridges carried inside of them two different versions of some games, like Ghouls and Ghosts here? On the same exact cartridge, you have Ghouls and Ghosts, the American version, and you have the complete Japanese version with Japanese characters on it, Japanese language used. I don't know how often this was a thing, but yeah, if you take out the cartridge itself and you put them into the Mega Drive cartridge, apparently it will play a different version of the game. I had no idea that was a thing. The review, DuckTales, type, shooter. Apparently it's a shooter electronic gaming monthly. No, it's not a shooter. Release now. Levels of play 7. Difficulty average. Capcom continues their line of Disney character games following on the heels of Mickey Mouse Capade with DuckTales based on the animated cartoon series. In the game, you star as Scrooge McDuck, exploring multiple levels of action and adventure on foot or on your special pogo stick. This is cane. You can eliminate enemies and overcome obstacles with the stick. Each round, which can be selected at any time from the menu screen, is filled with its own set of dangers and obstacles to overcome. First guy here gives it an 8. DuckTales appears as though it was created with the younger players in mind, with options such as selecting any level at the beginning of the game. This doesn't detract from the superior graphics and play mechanics, however. Despite some easy areas, DuckTales is too good to ignore. 9 for the next guy, the best game ever made for the young player. After a dog of a game in Mickey Mouse, Capcom comes back with a game that combines all the right features to catch the younger players, hold their interest, challenge their abilities, and keep them coming back. Only for the very young. So why does the difficulty say average electronic game monthly if it's only for the very young? Shouldn't it say easy? Why don't you take a quick look at what you're going to see here. Now, this event I have not seen in years. I haven't seen anybody else show this area in years. I forgot it existed until now. Apparently, it must take something very, very specific, either through your money or through the time. Apparently, yeah, when you go take a lift from Launchpad there is a chance of some sort. I'm sure it's based on something specific that it will take you into that bonus area that you saw there. Back to the magazine. 8 for the next guy. This game has good graphics and a nice feel with plenty of emphasis on the cartoon-like characters. DuckTales is not overly challenging, but the theme is different and the game is fun to play. Don't get scared by that kitty look. This is a prime example of very good game designing. And finally, 7 for this last guy. This is another Disney game that, like Mickey Mouse Mousecapade before it, has some decent play mechanics that are toned down for the younger players. While I'm sure this is nice for a kid brother or sister, you'll probably enjoy this game but find it beaten after the first day of play. I feel the second to last guy had the best overall review and the best writing skills. The game has good graphics and a nice feel with plenty of emphasis on cartoon-like characters. DuckTales is not overly challenging, but the theme is different and the game is fun to play. Don't get scared by the kitty look. Prime example of very good game designing. That is how you write a review of a game like this. It doesn't say it's overtly challenging. That's a good way of saying it's easy, but not being condescending while you're saying it. And that's what everybody else was doing in their reviews. They're being assholes about it. Yeah, it's okay, but it's not. I don't feel like you really think it's a good game. It doesn't shine through to me. And also, like, for a magazine where every single one of them agreed it was an easier game, why does it say difficulty average at the top? Why does it say it's a shooter when all of you have apparently gotten preview copies of this game and you know that it's not a shooter? Why does it say it's a shooter? Like, there are areas that constantly confuse me about some of these magazines. And like many magazines, they don't know their market. They don't know. I believe all of these. I believe they have pictures of these guys on a previous page that I didn't screenshot, and they're all kids. They're all teenagers. None of them are actually adults. So everybody reviewing this stuff is a little young. So they don't know their market, and I'm sorry to say, teenagers, but back then you were not the market. For the Nintendo Entertainment System. You weren't. Nintendo never marketed towards you specifically. It was great that a lot of teenagers liked the NES or the Super Nintendo, but they were marketing towards little children in America, absolutely. Of course, their specific audience that is buying magazines probably were teenagers to young adults, though, so, I guess their market in particular for this magazine, it would make more sense for them to say this might be a kiddie game. But still, that second to last reviewer who said, don't let the kiddie look fool you. It's a good, well-designed game. And that's what I wish for all of you to take from my review, personally. And don't let the nature of a reviewer who is supposed to be good at games, I mean, not anymore, but when you're reviewing a game, when that's your job, you probably have some skill in gaming, and you have to look at it. As a reviewer, you have to look at it differently, which they were terrible at. They were terrible at understanding what the overall public might think of a game. They were very much in their own private little reviewer bubbles, elite looks. If you think this game is easy, look what they chose to make out of the remastered version, where you have unlimited lives, for example, where even areas where they have changed boss patterns or made where they did make those bosses a lot more difficult. Well, it's not really more difficult because the bosses themselves will drop healing items during the battle. So it is way easier, the new version overall. Way easier. That's 2013, everybody. And of course, these guys have no idea that computer games exist and how difficult those games were compared to anything on the consoles at the time. It's all relative, guys. You have to understand, what is it for everybody else? And obviously, my friend Gaming Jay, who is by no means bad at games, he's a good gamer. He had never played it before, and he had some issues with it. I'm sure these reviewers had a little bit of issues with it, but when you have deadlines to make, you persevere, you make sure you're able to do it, and then you can let that stuff taint your views on everything. You gotta keep all of this stuff in mind. And yes, with all of this in mind, I do still think it is amongst easier NES titles, certainly. But I can't say you're just gonna breeze right through it without any difficulties. I remember having difficulties coming back to this game 10 years ago for the first time in years. You're gonna have some issues, but it's fun enough that you want to persevere. It's fun. You don't even have to know the series really in order to get some enjoyment out of this play style. It's good, very fun game. Look at all these secrets that we have to discover. You get a lot of enjoyment out of this game. So it doesn't matter the difficulty. It doesn't factor in. Overall, it's a wonderful game to experience. It's a game, there will not be any regrets if you spend some of your time with this one right here. Let's take a look at Mean Machines magazine, a European magazine. Taking a look at DuckTales here. It's a quacker, and they're using some imagery from the DuckTales movie, which hadn't even come out when it was released in America, but obviously it had by the time it had been released overseas. When Scrooge McDuck sets out to have an adventure, he certainly knows how to go about it. game is set all over the world as Scrooge travels between exotic locations looking for his nephews Huey, Dewey, and Louie. You forgot one there. You forgot one, Webigail. And he's not really looking for them. He's a glorified Uncle Buck, really. You know what I'm saying? He's got places to go, and they are coming along, whether they like it or not. They just happen to like it. He's got some stuff to steal, really. That's what this is all about. Now, I am enjoying the fact that it's taking place. This magazine is enjoying the fact that it takes place around the world without any of that PC garbage on their minds. But here is Matt's opinion about it. DuckTales contains some of the most exciting graphics I've seen on the Nintendo. The main sprite has some hilarious movements and reactions, especially when he's caught in the snow of the 4th level. I actually have him caught inside of a chest. He's got to touch all the chests. And he has become one with the chest, as you will see here. That picture and many, many more, along with a lot of GIFs on my written review. Check the description or comments or go to shot97retro.blogspot.com. You all realize I put a lot of effort into those written reviews that are completely separate. So if you think I need a script for my videos, no, I don't. I will never script my videos. Scripting and reading off a cue card is everything that is wrong with this site today. You will never be seeing that from me. But if you think I could benefit from some more concise, thought-out comments, well, that's where you go. Shot97retro.blogspot.com, where it is completely thought out and written for you all. They are supposed to be different. I mean, my opinions don't change, but they're definitely presented from a different angle. So you can go there. The action is pitched just about right, and the 3 difficulty levels add a great deal of playability to the game. Yes, remember there are 3 difficulty levels. Play it on the hardest difficulty if you're an adult, and see how that one treats you before you just dismiss it as being too easy. My only gripe is that when Scrooge dies, you are sent right back to the beginning of the level, no matter how close to the end you are. It's not exactly true, by the way. It depends on where you are in the level. There are certain kind of checkpoints that when you die, you will go back to the checkpoint, actually. That's only a minor point, and doesn't distract from the overall excellence of the game. The control can be a little on the awkward side, especially when trying to get Scrooge to bounce. I agree. However, I recommend this game highly. It's well worth purchasing. Nice review from Matt. This next page, I'm just going to point out for a second to show you that they got the wrong screenshot for the African mines, that's the below ground area of the Amazon. From Julie, DuckTales is a fine arcade adventure and features some exceptional graphics and some very tough and challenging gameplay. I like the idea of being able to tackle any level, which means you don't have to play early levels over and over again. But even though you can practice, there's plenty of skill to get all the way through the game in one go. With its many neat touches and beautifully balanced difficulty levels, DuckTales provides laughs and addiction in equal doses. You'd be quackers to miss it! Presentation 82%, graphics 93%, sound 88%, playability 90%, lastability 85%. 3 difficulty levels and 5 large levels make the game one that you'll come back to again and again. No, I like coming back to it because I enjoy the game, but I'm telling you, I've definitely discovered every last nook and cranny of this game, and while difficulty settings and linear and non-linear nature, it has a place. But you can't, it's not based on your opinion. You want to go back to it again and again. It's based on actual facts. I would, it's got some replayability, but not that much, if you ask me. Overall, 90% a great game with a true sense of humor. DuckTales is a worthy buy for Nintendo owners. And most of the reviews out there from back in the day, they're very much similar. Overall, it was reviewed very well. Many people did note a little bit less difficult, but they still enjoyed the game overall. You are seeing the best possible ending right now. There are 3 endings to the game. In addition to finding the legendary 5 treasures, Scrooge McDuck has stunned the world with his discovery of 2 lost treasures. You are a master treasure hunter. Hooray, Uncle Scrooge! We're glad you found the treasures. Don't forget we help too. It's very hard to do the voices to these guys. Right, lads. I couldn't have done this without you. I really am the richest duck in the world. And yes, and then it plays the theme song again. Oh, rewrite history, DuckTales, woo! Of course, we're going to make it as in-depth as possible, and we're going to show you the multiple endings. Here's what happens if they get to the treasure before you. Curse me, kilts! Glumgul has the treasures. I don't know how to pronounce that one. But all that's going to do is make you, redo the start again and go back and fight the boss again. We come back. This is the normal ending. The best ending can only happen if you get 10 million plus dollars. The normal ending will have anything from $1 to just below 10 million. This is what you will normally see. Scrooge McDuck remains the richest duck in the world. Daring explorer Scrooge McDuck has found the 5 legendary treasures, making him the richest duck in the world. You're a master treasure hunter. And the rest of it will be exactly the same as you saw prior. Well, the strategy for getting the best ending is to get all the treasures you can and to use Launchpad to take you back and then come back to the level again so you can get the treasures again. You do that and you will probably get the best ending possible. Here is arguably the hardest. I don't think it is. I think it's still harder to get the best ending with all of that treasure. A lot of people seem to think this is the hardest ending to achieve. I don't know. It's definitely the most cryptic ending to achieve. It's the most tedious ending to achieve. You're basically doing a speed run throughout the level. You don't want to collect a single solitary cent while you're doing this, and there's lots of treasure that can just come from right above your head, so you gotta go fast. You gotta keep moving. Essentially, you're doing a quick little speed run here. In order to achieve the third final ending, you gotta have $0. And that's it's very cryptic to do this. You have to, so I'm going to show you the first level as an example of it all. And this is just the most surefire way to get this one ending, this worst ending. There are other ways to do it. I got it as a kid, actually. I do remember getting this one back then. I played this game so much. There are multiple ways to achieve this one, but this is just the most surefire way, because when you get the treasure, you get money. So you can't truly end the level with $0. You need to end the game with $0 to get this final ending. But the surefire way to do it is to go to each boss with $0. Except for here, you'll need 1 hidden treasure. There's a hidden treasure on the moon, and there's a hidden treasure here in the mines. This one would probably be the easiest one to achieve. Having $6 million at the end of the game is the easiest way to achieve it, because I just lost. You see, I just lost. I had $6 million, I now have $3 million, and now I have no money. It's not documented in the manual, but I knew this as a kid. If you hit the select button during gameplay, it will take away $3 million, and you will restore all of your health. This is how I got it accidentally. Back in the day, I got this ending. It doesn't matter. You know, you just got to have, you know, a multiple of 3 million, I believe. You know, that way, that's how much it costs to get it. So if you can, you know, damage yourself enough, you can hit select button enough. You know, as long as you end the game with $0, you can get this final ending. This is just the easiest way. Otherwise, it's very up to chance whether or not you can end the game with $0. So you gotta, you know, just breeze through all the levels. Try to end everything with $0. When you hit the bosses, get that one treasure, and you will see Scrooge just moping about, tears in his eyes, crying. No money there. I did get this one as a kid through sheer accident. Scrooge loses fortune, but finds treasure. Scrooge McDuck has lost his fortune in his search for the legendary 5 treasures. He will use them to rebuild his empire. Congratulations. It's still a good ending, technically, and it will end the same way as all of the rest of them. Still looking at himself as the richest duck in the world. That probably technically is the happiest ending, actually. He loses all his money, but he sees the value in family. So final thoughts, I definitely love this game. I've always loved it. Favorite from a kid to now. I always enjoy my time spent with DuckTales. Highly recommended for your Nintendo Entertainment System. Check out a few other games that I have done. I've recently done a full Let's Play on Marble Madness on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Definitely check out Gaming Jay's first look at this game, as it were. It was a fun video and inspired me to do this one. Check out my review for Jaws. Check out my review for Back to the Future on the NES. Goodbye, everybody.